Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Auric.
And I'm Mangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, here we are today with another replay of the Battle for the Besieged on the map of Shell. Now, shell me on it. Who's fighting and with what?
Well, on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have ourselves vonPaulus playing his group Tyurina with Maverick income. And the right-hand side in red, we have a Solowingpixy playing his 15th Scottish Infantry Division with a balanced income.
Yes, balanced income. So guys, that's a quick reminder, of course, these are the revised incomes. Apparently someone looked at a balance sheet and said, screw what we had previously, we want something new. The kind of amusing thing for me, it's something I've never really thought about until just this instant. I always wonder if Solowingpixy is a pixie with one wing, or it's like a flight of pixies and there's only one of them.
I'd like to imagine it's just a pixie with only a single ring, and he's just like having a really hard time flying.
Oh, kind of like swaying back and forth. Maybe it's like a helicopter to a certain extent. I can see it. I can see it.
Going in circles.
Now, turning to more serious matters, there's an AEC has already down. The Daimler AC to the south has been taken out by some heavy anti-tank equipment. But to the north, rifles are causing quite a bit of havoc against that sniper and Ogdemachiki opening. So, when all is said and done, I mean, initial blood does go, I would argue, to the Scots. But it's that staying power that we're really kind of concerned with today, isn't it?
Yeah, the Scots is a very interesting division because they're very much a one-trick pony of just essentially being rifle spam. And the rifles are pretty good. The Brent gun is apparently a pretty good machine gun. But the problem with the Scots is the fire support, the high explosive fire support. As their direct fire support is just these tanks with bad HE values. It really comes down to good use of artillery of Scots with 25 pounders and the few off-map that they have to, really dig out entrenched positions, and especially on a map like this, I think it's going to be very vital, as there's a lot of entrenched positions with a lot of forest.
Kind of bizarrely enough, though, we're seeing these IL-2s being called in super early, so they're going to come in and strafe like crazy. I would have thought they'd be a little bit more effective against, like, the AECs. And now he's just blind firing against the 6-pounder and just whiffing completely, so I'm a little confused. There we go.
Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, they can be really deadly at knocking out those, single AT guns and other important guns, but it's kind of a race to use them against a rifle squad, and they're not going to do much against a tank, so there's not too many targets for him. If this was more of like a standard, like, German division, whereas OT-18s to blow up, they'd probably be a little bit more effective early on.
Now, I was watching these rifles have a wet noodle contest against this Maxim. They will take it out eventually. That's not too shocking there. I think I'm more amused by what happens that now these rifle squads are like, okay, oh yeah, there's no machine gun there anymore, let's try to move forward. And the 45mm, that still has absolutely no HE. Back to the north, though, there's this attempted push by SVTs and stroke DPs. And the Honey Stewart says, nay, good sir, and shoves them back rather unceremoniously across the clearing in which they found themselves.
Yeah, but now the rifles are in a pretty nasty position where there's a bunch of T-34s shooting them up. And this is also another problem with the Scots, is that the Churchills are alright tanks, but they're really slow. And I don't know, against the T-34 spam, I'd really give it towards Russians. As those T-34s, you can get so many of them. And you can just pretty much overrun Churchill in those few tank positions that you can get as a Scotch. As you're not really a tank-heavy division. You get some nice, Churchills are thick, that's for sure. But they're not that great, really. They don't have enough firepower to really be useful.
Oh, absolutely. Now, looking elsewhere for the moment, down south one more time. There's this big push-up getting set up, and I actually kind of really like this. Well, Churchill dueling with a 45mm, and gonna get helped out rather considerably by some high explosive ordnance. But there were four squads of rifles, and there was this, like, I don't know, Russian command group of SVTs, Sturmoviki with rocks, and then Komrati squad just behind it. Not for nothing, I would think the strokey DPs should be enough to push back those rifles. Let's hope,
yeah.
Anyway. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's strokey SVTs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that'd definitely be enough because semi-automatic firepower. Churchill is helping out quite a bit, so it might be enough to retard his push. But yeah, it's just the thing with fighting Scots is you're gonna have to fight through a horde of riflemen. It's just all they have is rifles, and hey, we got more rifles behind you as well. So you just need to really pile in the high explosive fire support and just machine gun fire to stress out these huge hordes.
And if that's not enough, call forward a Typhoon.
Yeah, so they're pretty good at blowing up strokies, not rifles it is. So they can blow up rifles if you want, but you're probably doing something wrong at that point.
Well, at that point, we bring them up on charges and let M take them out with some weird, 00 assassination or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it is
Yeah,
13-11. Mm-hmm.
Pretty standard, infantry forest fight between both sides. I mean, if anything, 15th Scots is probably going to be very slow and steady if they decide to do any pushes. But up north, it seems both sides are pretty content with just holding. It's really coming a little bit more now towards the centre here, as we've got a platoon of rifles trying to hook around the southern side of the northern hill.
And running into the same issues as you might suspect they would run into. The SVTs being on that hillside. First of all, the rifles are out in the open. They're going to get carved up, and you can see it starting to happen for this sniper team. And the second thing, too, is that with those strokey SVTs in cover, good luck getting any kind of accurate fire. We finally see literally one man and one squad go down.
Yeah.
And that's after considerable casualties already being cost over here on the rifles side of things.
Yeah, and we're seeing T-34 spam here from vonPaulus, and that's really his best bet. I mean, the rifles have no bloody anti-tank weaponry. What are they gonna do about it?
They're gonna call it 6-pounders, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's all they can do. And on a map like his, 6-pounders are... it's pretty dangerous, as it's very close range.
So I guess the question is there a way to effectively play this matchup?
For Scots, I think, even though it's at a 1v1, and artillery, proper artillery isn't ideal, I think that's a very good bet. Apart from that, you just have to spam enough rifles and hope to God you win by attrition, as I usually see at how 15 Scots playing 1v1s. Then from vonPaulus, it's just about, using the tanks, using the airplanes, getting enough strokies to hold the line, and yeah. It's a very grindy map, just due to how forested it is. There's no major quick pushes you can do. You'll find every bloody inch of this forest.
It is oddly perverse to watch the Soviets play against a squad that is just trying to Zerg rush them down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, human wave tactics really shouldn't be a, English thing. That's what you have those other people for.
Especially considering the whole, English doctrine, I guess, during D-Day. They didn't want to lose guys because they were running out of manpower at home for recruitment. Right here, it's just, human. You're pretty much just playing human wave tactics. You're playing World War I style for Scotch, which I guess is a bit fitting.
Oh, of course. Send in the Irish. Arrows cost money.
Yeah.
We're starting to see a rather weird phallic territory start to happen in the center part of the map.
Hey. I think vonPaulus is just happy to see us.
Who wouldn't be? I mean, come on, we bring happiness and joy to so many that are not digital. These Typhoons are going to go down, though. That's one.
Yeah, it's really good kills though from vonPaulus, so Typhoons have been a pain in the ass.
Well, and part of this, Solowingpixy deserves. Like, he's been lingering over the front lines, and not even like he's over his own Bofors. He just lingers over the front lines. He almost deserves to lose this.
Kanishyak, finally. That was like a turn fight and a half of Act 9 trying to get behind. But yeah.
I'm trying to think about any kind of way this can be recovered. I mean, Solowingpixy is playing for that later game, so what? More Churchills and just more of the same in B?
Yeah, it's just rifle spam and Churchills and more rifles and probably a few more Churchills. Scorch is a very straightforward division to play for the most part, I find.
Which is ironic, since Scotch as a drink is a very complex thing when ingested appropriately.
Indeed. We're seeing a bit of a T-34 perceive from the southern side from vonPaulus and trying to move out some stroke DPs. And yeah, vonPaulus in a pretty good position in the center. As he got the half-tracks there, got T-34s. I believe it is as a Churchill, yeah, which is going to be the main hindrance right now. But as you can see, the half-tracks are finding some pretty lovely fire support from down the hill. Another Typhoon.
Oh yeah, that guy is gonna make it barely, because I don't think the Yak has enough speed. The agility definitely is on the Yak side.
Yeah. Yeah, Typhoon, once it's dropped its bombs, is a bloody speed demon.
Oh, there's
so
a crocodile.
He's not evac-ing. He really should have evac'd. I think he just forgot to micro it. But he might be. Come on, press the evac button. Just not the eject button. That would be pretty unfortunate at his position. Oh no, he's gonna fight. Oh
my
run.
God! You gotta be kidding me.
I forgot the Typhoon has really good armaments.
Yeah, he's got Hispano cannons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny seeing the difference between like Eastern Front quotation mark and Western Front planes. As you know, by like 44 period, like all those British and American planes have a bunch of cannons or 50 cal machine guns on them. But like what? I think those Jack 9s have like 250 cals and maybe a 20 or 30. I don't entirely remember, but the Russian plane armaments is definitely lighter, all things considered.
If we really want to continue that along, though, I think part of that's kind of heavily explained by the territory which they fly.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard to put more things on the wing if you don't know that the ice is going to come off in the first place.
Yeah, and also just the distances, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Eastern Front was a pretty big area.
Well, we're gonna have a Honey Stewart get taken out by Othmachiki. There we go. Right in the center, and that's the last thing for 500 meters or so, other than rifles in either direction.
Yeah. Just rifles for days, but this is, it's a good push from vonPaulus. The CQC, this map is perfect for Othmachikis, as they can actually get in close and shoot stuff with a hail of SMG fire.
Well, take out Desant Niki as well. I mean, those guys by themselves can just churn through pretty much everything, and they have the Molotovs to just be, just a real firebrand. So that'll work out well for them.
And there we're seeing, the Stuarts down south, and quite a bit of a force here, all the way down south here from vonPaulus. I believe he's, moving it into that southern sector, and he's starting to get a pretty hefty amount of his T-34s here now. Should be pretty good. There's no 6-pounder nearby. We are seeing the P-out squad, but, good luck with that actually hitting.
Well, the infantry to the south just took a mad slap in the face. I would still be going a little bit out a lot quicker before a lot of this happens here. The IL-2, that's got actually has a lot of an armament.
Yeah.
Twin 23s.
Yeah, you don't do a head-on against an IL-2. Especially awesome considering its armor value.
This thing's a flying tank in the first place. Why would you ever want to get involved with that? And as a surprise to no one, the Honey Stewards get taken out by T-34-76s at being completely outgunned, completely out-armored.
And then it's just down to rifles and the T-34s. It's going to be a slow process, but they're going to be able to beat back this rifle push here. And even the R2s are going to jump in for some fun.
Sorry, I was just watching a Typhoon make a bombing run, and not for nothing, but there's always that curious moment when a bomber goes in to take out a tank with an HE weapon. You're like, okay, will that kill, or is it just wasting its time?
It's like, it's a tank on, because like all the tanks have an invisible HP bar. So have low enough HP to get finished off by the high explosive, or is he gonna tank it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Yak 9, there you go. We see another Yak 9 take another Typhoon. He's got to be running pretty low on those things.
Yeah. I would have to imagine, because he's lost a few of them already so far. But his southern push is going really well from vonPaulus. I mean, as you're looking at the points, you haven't really been paying that much attention to it. vonPaulus is on a 15-9. I think that's due to the central position, and now the southern position under his control, so... He's got momentum, and he's got a lot of infantry and a lot of scary medium tanks down south.
Well, you can tell that he's getting even more excited, because that blue knob, shall we say, is extending further and further into reddish territory, so... I think, wow, just look at that breadth of infantry coming in. Tanko Desantniki, Stroke DP, Superiors, like, that is a fearsome group.
Yeah, and those are all CQC dudes, and this is the perfect map. And pretty good matchup as well for just using those infantry, as the Scots really lack. I mean, you can get some combat engineer guys, but they're pretty punch. It's like a 5-man squad which throws a satchel charge. But road to take out when you can just get more rifle spam.
And as if it wasn't enough, we see Tanko Desantniki, we're seeing SU-85, so it's called ISUs for some reason constantly. Yeah, it's gonna be a madhouse. It's up to the Typhoons to just drop any kind of bombs that they can. And you can see right now, so much material has been killed that he's down to using Mark 1 Typhoons as opposed to Mark 2, which doesn't sound like a big thing until you realize that he's dropping half the number of bombs, or half the amount in terms of ordnance as the heavier component.
Yeah. Tsel is making a pretty decent push up north here. The Churchill leading the charge. So is he going to get naded? I feel like he's going to get naded. He's pretty slow. He's not going to be able to outrun that infantry squad.
Maybe not, but the Piat might be enough to help keep them off him.
Oh, yeah, that seems to be the case.
Unfortunately, he's going to run into another squad instead.
Yeah. Oh, because Rifles Piat, they get 2 Bren guns, which is a pretty good trade-off for losing the SMGs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, but the Churchill still dies.
Yeah, and the southern push is... It's a slow breakdown, but those T-34s are pretty much enough to wear down the rifles. His Solar Ring, he does have a Crocodile and a 6-pounder in the area, so it's going to come down to those guys to knock out the tanks. But there's many more Russian tanks being brought in, and the far southern side is very ugly here from Solar Ring.
Well, there's a Crocodile there still. We're getting in 3 more squads of rifles. We have 3 rifles and 3 Piats, excuse me, being brought on in. Unfortunately, these guys are not what the doctor ordered. These guys need to go further north. Like, you don't want to stick 7 squads of these guys, like he is, in this town.
Yeah.
I just want to double check the range of that flamethrower, the 160 meters. It always feels like it should be so close.
It's actually shorter range than SD-44, and SD-44, the flamethrower had 260 meters.
Yes, the living flame snake. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's kind of, I understand why they did it for historical reasons, but now flamethrower tanks are mostly useless because it's so hard to get over that 160 meter range. I mean, the reason they had it at 260 meters in SD-44 is that it was just 10 meters farther than the farthest infantry range anti-tank weapon, so you could use it to counter, you know, infantry without getting blown up by a Panzerschreck. But then you get into the whole historical versus gameplay debate, and that's a whole thing.
Sure. 6-pounder valiantly dies as hails of T-34 fire come its way. And the Crocodile is slowly going extinct as well.
Here comes more Typhoons. And that's going to be a pretty good hit. Those Typhoons have been coming in clutch as the need of HE5 support he's been needing. But he doesn't have enough of them, and he's going to get ballsy and try to shoot down airplanes. That was really stupid.
It's dumb.
That was not a good move. I understand what he's trying to do, knocking out enemy aircraft, but he really needs to put more preservation on those airplanes, because
Yes.
vonPaulus can lose these Yak 9s and IL-2s. That cheap, he doesn't care. Can't be affording to lose those Typhoons. They're really his only, HE fire support and knocking out his infantry pushes.
Yes.
Yeah. The north side's looking pretty good, Joe, for Pixie. His men's have got a good bit of territory. He has lost the entirety of the middle hill. So, you get some good and you get a lot of bad.
Well, that's why he's bringing in 9 squads of rifle PS to try to take back that hill. I still don't know that's going to be enough. He'll take it back, but it's going to be so slow to get done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what that Bofors was shooting at. Okay, he's just firing at the Superi. I guess that's not too surprising. Oh, jeez. T-30 forces should be able to engage the Honey Stewart without too much of a hassle. Just double check real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, the Honey Stewart is pretty punch, all things considered.
I mean, for what you're getting for the, from a cost perspective, yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah, yeah, for LA it's only 25 points. But the AP value's terrible, the armor's not good. Has 2 machine guns, which is nice for a light tank, I guess, but
it's a 37mm pop gun for a reason. I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm not expecting to get a whole lot.
And actually, like the pop gun is a really slow fire rate of only 7 rounds a minute. Like, usually those small AT guns, right, have like 12 rounds a minute. But I don't know, right, the American one is slower. If someone knows, probably Rooster, I guess, in the comments. please let me know, because the German and Russian like anti-tank guns shoot much faster. Why of all things, the American one's bloody slow?
Sure. Oh man.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just vonPaulus is making that slower and steady push all over the map, and yeah, the rifle spam does not seem to have worked for Pixie today.
Well, it doesn't help either that he allows squads to cut off like poor little merch over here.
Yeah, Scots is a really weird division in the current 1v1 meta, as the current 1v1 meta is to just not use artillery because it's not efficient. But you really have to use artillery as Scots. You have a crap ton of 25-pounders for a reason. Yes, like using Harwichers and whatnot is just not ideal in a 1v1 situation, but you really need to use... I mean, I guess in a team game, Scots would be much better because artillery spam's pretty popular, yeah. But in 1v1s, your rifles are a pretty easy one-trick pony to beat. Unless they can get some PS shots, because down south there, get some good hits in the C-34s.
Yes, unfortunately, that'll be the last thing that they pretty much do, I imagine.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say we could probably take it to times 2.
Probably fair. How about at 2340?
2.
4, 3, 2, 1. Times 2.
And go. Yep.
Speaking of Rooster, Rooster, by the way, when am I getting my Amazon review? Just saying, man. You've had it for a whole 3 weeks. What's going on?
5 stars, of course.
Oh, it better be. It better be. 16-8 in the meantime, though. 24-17 as we move further and further into this particular match. Solowingpixy taking it on the chin, and honestly, you have to tip off your hat a little bit to him. It's a very gutsy move to even bring the Scots in, and he did it. Not sure I would have done that. So.
Yeah, they sometimes work. Like, we've seen matches where Scots just managed to out-attrition the enemy just through sheer rifle spam. But on a map like this, and especially against Group Tyurina, which is pretty good at dealing with your infantry shenanigans, it doesn't work out well. I think in a more open map, Scots work because you can actually get your Churchills into position.
And the 6-pounders can own.
Yeah, and 6-pounders can just go to Pound Town because they're really good anti-tank guns, but on a map like this, anti-tank guns are mostly worthless.
Yep.
It really comes down to good medium tank play, and the Russians have really good medium tanks, the T-34 76s, model 1943. You can get a Rover 42 model if you so desire.
But
It's funny how the later model has worse armor.
Yeah, I think it was because of the quality of the steel, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it was. Like, the later model, the 1943 model, they just made production simpler because they just needed tanks. Which is fair.
Absolutely.
All you need is tanks.
And love, but mostly tanks.
Yeah. But tanks can give you love.
I'm not sure what kind of love you're looking for, sir. I thought I knew at one point.
Explosive kind.
Ah, gotcha. Try Tinder.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we have Tank of Thessaloniki charging across an open field, literally into the teeth of 2 rifle Piat squads, and then watch them still take them down. Yep. So the cost of 1 squad, probably 2 here at the most.
Yeah.
They have charged across an open field, taking constant fire, in some cases literally, only finally barely going down. And yeah, I mean, there we go.
And it's a GG. Let's look really close on KD, considering.
Yeah, but think about it. This was just an infantry fight.
Yeah, and the rifles are very cheap at only 20 points.
And the biggest thing I think that was really a missed opportunity. Ooh, there's one Crocodile Williams over here has 4 kills and some other ancillary material. The big thing here was I feel like losing those Typhoons, that was a problem.
Yeah, they really were the best thing in that matchup to keep him in the match, but yeah, he probably should have invested a little bit more in NTL over the map. I did see how the Bofors up north, but you just use the Typhoons to bomb and you get the hell out. You can use them to fight, but as I mentioned before, in the attrition and air, you really don't have it with Scots against Tyurina.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But either way, like we said on Tuesday, thank you to Solowingpixy and vonPaulus for taking part in the first SD2 charity tournament. From everything I've heard, unfortunately I was away at the time, but from everything I've heard, it was a smashing success, and hopefully we're looking to see more material like that come up in the near future. I do want to make a quick call out. Season 4 of SD2 League Play is coming up. So I think we actually start that within a couple of weeks, don't we?
Yeah, we're gonna start doing that, covering that next week. So look forward to that, as SD League Story's been an awesome part of the community.
Absolutely, absolutely, and a big thank you to everyone kind of who's behind the scenes making that work as well. Again, it's moving to this next season of it. I guess any final thoughts there, Ryan?
No, none, 0.
Okay, well, folks, in that case, then until next week, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.